Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ed Martin here in a Pro America Report. Great to be together. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, listen, do me one favor, will you? Do me one favor. Go to proamericareport.com, proamericareport.com, and you will see the ability to sign up to get on my email list. I would like to send you an email every morning just about what's going on, just what you need to know. It's this first segment with a few other links to stories and all, and I'll fill you in, and I'd appreciate it if you do that. Now, listen, later on in the show, I will be talking about a letter that I just issued to the Archbishop, the Catholic Archbishop of Washington, D.C. His name is Wilton Gregory. He insulted the Catholic faithful today and the President of the United States. I wrote him back. You're going to want to tune into that segment and hear what I said in that letter. He was very, very offensive what he did. I think it's despicable what happened, and I will explain that to you. You're going to want to see that, and it's just terrible. He decided to basically politicize the President of the United States signing a religious liberty executive order. Just dastardly. So I'll tell you about that in a few minutes. And we got another great show. I hope you're always tuning in. Don't forget, go to proamericareport.com, proamericareport.com. If you miss any part of the show, you can get the links to the segments there. We've got a new feature where each standalone segment is up in what's called an audiograph, which gives you a video to look at, and you get closed caption so you can read it in case you want to read the text of the conversations we're having. It's pretty cool. So I hope you'll do that and a lot more. All right, let's get to what you need to know today. I've been telling you for a long time that the media is really, really not good. It's fake news is not good. It's also really mean. It makes people crazy. It really is. It's really destructive. They figured out a business model to keep people agitated and therefore to make money off them. CNN, MSNBC, to a lesser extent Fox News, all of them. That's their business model now, is hysteria pays. And who pays for it? Mostly pharmaceutical ads, but still, hysteria pays. Get everybody torqued up. Get them jacked up. They'll go to the websites. They'll stay in their silo, and you can make them crazy. The problem is people are made crazy. And I have to tell you, and what you need to know today is that in this sort of so-called riot, the New York Times, somebody in the New York Times had one of the op-ed pieces, had a quote from Martin Luther King that said, riot is an expression of the voice of the voiceless, or something like that. That's not true. Maybe it was true when Martin Luther King Jr. said it. It's not true today. These rioters are just absolute. They're animals. They're destroying. They're not righteous. They're not enraged. They're not anything. They're evil acting people who are destroying. You can tell a lot about somebody when you say, what are you doing? And you say, they're destroying. They're not building up. They're not making better. They're not struggling for truth. They're destroying. But here's what you need to know about how bad the media is. Last night in St. Louis, my old hometown, a police captain who had retired was working security in a business just north of Clayton, Missouri, just south of Ferguson, actually, not a few miles south of Ferguson. And the retired police captain, of course, that's what you do when you're retired. You know, you have a great career and you retire and you get a chance to take care, make some extra money. He was murdered by these rioters, these righteous rioters, non-righteous, non-rioters. Now, here's the detail. He happens to be African American. It shouldn't really matter. A man murdered after a career in law enforcement in these riots doesn't make a difference. Not really an add-on, except where's the media? Where's the media covering? They're covering every rioter doing something, driving it, getting arrested roughly and all that stuff. And this is ignored. Because why? Because the narrative that they're pushing is a narrative that divides and that hates. And so the truth doesn't matter. And you see that more and more as you watch what's going on. I think the president was masterful to give the speech he did last night and then march across Lafayette Square to that church. And all these liberals and crazy people yelling about how could he do it, how could he do it, this, that, and the other thing. It made an impression that said we want someone in charge, because we do. So what you need to know is the media is working so hard against we the people, they've really become the enemy of we the people. They really have now. That may have seemed hyperbolic in the past. It's really true now. And here's the second point, what you need to know. Yesterday, the family of Mr. Floyd released the autopsy from his death. And I still maintain that the cop in that case did not do the right thing. It was too long. There was too much on the video, too much asking for help. But what the autopsy showed, and have you heard this? I bet you haven't. What the autopsy showed was that Mr. Floyd was on fentanyl. He was on meth. Now, fentanyl is a nasty drug. It comes from China. Nasty. Kills 50,000 Americans. When people OD on fentanyl, they often die. When they OD on fentanyl, they often are in a sort of zombie state. They're not responsive like normal human beings. And on the tape of the 4 cops who were fired, and probably deserved it, I got to say, I'm not backing off on seeing that something was very wrong. But on the tape, the videotape and the audio of that videotape, they're talking about how how to control a guy who had this kind of derangement, like a drug-induced derangement, that they recognized because they know the type. And so the autopsy yesterday didn't say the cause of death. It didn't say it was murder. It did not say so either. But it didn't say it was murder, and it did say it was on fentanyl. It at least makes you realize that the situation was different than it appears, right? No coverage. No coverage, no discussion, no nothing. Why? Doesn't fit the narrative. The narrative is that it's the oppressed, the white privilege, it's oppressing America. And in this case, that's what killed him. That's what they say. Again, it looks to me like the cop did something wrong, no matter what the state of this drug-induced derangement is. I'm not excusing that, and I don't think anyone should. I think it's really problematic. I'm just saying that the media is not showing us what's happening. They're showing us what they want. They're not showing us what happened. They're showing us what they want because they want us to do things. And what is it they want us to do? They want us to be worried, scared, maybe hysterical. They want us to be on edge, unpleasant, divided. They want us to feel hurt and scared. What you need to know is that they're really trying to destroy what's at the heart of we the people in this country. That's what you need to know. It's not just silly and gamesmanship and CNN and fake news. No. It's really seditious. It's treasonous. It's against us. It's against we the people in a way that is a threat to us. It truly is a threat to us. And when you know what I just told you, what you need to know about how the media's narrative is being pushed and they're ignoring the murdering of African Americans when it doesn't fit their narrative, this retired cop, when they're ignoring the facts of the case of Mr. Floyd, when they're just telling us the agenda, they're pushing us the agenda to try to drive us crazy. What you need, when you know that, when you need to know that, what you need to know, and I'm telling you that, then what we have to do is not accept it. We have to break out of it for our friends, for our families, for others. We have to be the voices that say, no, I'm not accepting that. And ultimately, here's the one you got to hear. It's over now. We can't allow the rioting. We can't allow the idiocy. We can't allow the destruction of the country. It's time for our governors, our mayors, and the president to take back the country. If it means the military's occupying New York City, have at it. If it means that the 82nd Airborne has to go into Chicago, that's the way it goes. Whatever it means now for us to take control, this is not a debate. It's not a conversation. It's not even a riot. It's not even a riot. It's a treasonous insurrection based not on good things, based on evil. And it has to be put down. That's life, by the way. Evil has to be put down. You don't get to dodge evil. If you read your Bible, if you study the history, evil abounds and you have to take it on. If you ignore it, it grows. If you disregard it, it spreads. If you say it's not evil, it becomes bigger and stronger. What you need to know is where we are, and what you need to do is we got to get control again, and we're going to see it. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we got some great guests again. As always, we're going to talk about a little bit about voter fraud, but also what's happening with Mike Flynn and more. I'll be right back. Ed Martin here in a Pro America Report. Be back.